Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we are going to learn about chapter 8, which is leadership and staffing. Okay, so now let's take a look on what we are going to learn for today. Okay, so as for the learning outcome, what you are going to learn is identify leadership styles and characteristic of an event manager, and then explain the leadership model for temporary team, and then number three, discuss the way to improve communication effectively in organizing an event. So before the event started, during the event, and after the event ends, what kind of communication that we are going to use with our team member, and then preparing job description, understand on recruitment and selection, and lastly, volunteers. So do we need any volunteers for our event? So that one we need to determine, and we are going to discuss later on. All right. So first one, leadership. So leadership basically as the general definition, it is known as the ability to lead. Okay. So if you are someone that is outgrown, or you are someone that is outspoken, you might be a leader. You might become someone that is considered as leader. But you need to check on several characteristics. Okay, so leadership basically to show the way to or direct the course of by going before or along to conduct or guide, to direct as by persuasion or influence to a course of action or thought. Or maybe if you have any influence, or you have the ability to direct, to give some what we call that, to give some arahan in Malay. Okay, so you need to know what kind of procedures and what kinds of influence that you are going to have. Okay, so and then it is defined as the guiding or directing others to a course of action through persuasion or influence. So if you are about to be someone who have persuasion and you are persuasive, so and someone, if you have any influence, so you are going to consider to become a leader. Okay, so next, we are going to check. There are three types of leadership. We have democratic, we have autocratic, and laissez-faire. Okay, so this is the example, and this is basically the illustration of the leadership style. As you can see, the first one, sorry, the first one, which is the best, X or Y, as for democratic. So in Malaysia, um, we are the country of democratic. We are the one or the country that portrays and play the democratic style. Okay, so we are not going to use, we are not using any autocratic or laissez-faire. So as for Malaysia, we have the democratic style, whereas the leader will listen to what the people wants. Okay, so that is democratic in general, and then we have autocratic, meaning when the leaders say A, you need to do A. You cannot say B, or you don't have to, or you don't have authority to say I want to give suggestion, I want to discuss. No. Okay, so and then laissez-faire, basically um, a leader or someone, we are going to discuss everything, and we are having few options. Okay, so we are having few options, and we might see which one is suitable for our project or for our event. Okay, so let us see the first one, democratic style. So democratic style, as I mentioned earlier, it is known as participatory, opportunity for every member to participate in the progress of making and revising decision and policies. So everyone in that team will have the same or the opportunity or equal opportunity to speak. Okay, and then distributing responsibility among the membership, empowering group members, and aiding the group's decision-making process. So if your leader asks you about something or getting some decision, okay, so that is when you as the group member, or as the event leader, or sorry, as the event member, you are going to throw some ideas or discuss some ideas. Okay, So that is considered as democratic style. Okay. So number two, we have autocratic style. So autocratic derived from the word auto, for Greek means self, and kratic, which implies rule. Okay. So as for autocratic style, authoritarian have the initial and final voice in all decision-making situation. For example, here, if the leader said A, like I mentioned earlier, if he or she said A, you have to follow A. Okay, so you have no authority and you have no voice. Your voice will not be heard. So during this leadership style. Okay, so as for event, it is used during emergency evacuation. Um, when it is required at the event site and the time is limited to reach consensus. So that is the time. The autocratic style means when you are reaching some emergency situation and there is no time for you to discuss what to do or what to say and everything. So you have, as a leader, you have to do the you have to do the decision on the spot. So that's why autocratic style is needed during the event. Okay, so the combination of progressive ideas, self-determination, and autocratic leadership led to some of the history's most significant events. These include the rise of the Roman Empire under Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar is known as one of the greatest leader during Roman Empire time. Okay, and then number two, the settling of U.S. colonies, thanks to John Smith. Okay, and number three, the popularity of automobile due to Henry Ford. So as you know, Ford is one of the automobile that is famous in all over the world and also in Malaysia. Okay, so next we have laissez-faire. So laissez-faire, it is the direct opposite of autocratic leadership. So instead of single leader making all decisions for an organization, group, or team, laissez-faire leaders make few decisions and allow their staff to choose appropriate workplace solution. So for example, in your mind as a leader, you have three options. So you give the ideas and you throw all the ideas and you open the floor for any discussion. Okay, so as for laissez-faire leadership, as for leader, as for laissez-faire leader, they have this certain characteristic. Firstly, they delegate authority to capable experts, meaning they will delegate everything. They are not doing anything by themselves. They do everything accordingly and they share the burden and also the responsibility with all the members. And then number two, maximize the leadership qualities of staff. Okay, so during this time, basically, laissez-faire leader, they will empower the group member. Okay, and then number three, praise accomplishment and reward successes. So if you have anything or any project that has been success, and then uh, you will praise that particular group and they will give them some reward. Then number four, offer constructive criticism when necessary, meaning here you are not critic, but you are not giving any solution. But in this case, you are critiquing and you are giving criticism, but at the same time you offer solution. Okay, number five, allow staff to solve problems and manage challenges. It is also quite the same with number two, which is you empower your staff. And last one, know when to step in and lead during any crisis. Meaning you are giving some space, you are giving some ways to your group member to do the job or to comply and complete to their task, but at the same time, you are monitoring them. Okay, you know when is the best time, when is the right time to step in, and you know when is the right time for you to meddle into everything. Okay, so basically that is laissez-faire, right? So this is one of the example for a large-scale project led by a laissez-faire leadership style. Sorry, I slipped my tongue a bit. So this is Hoover Dam. So Hoover Dam involved 3 US presidents and it was built by hundreds of leaders. And this Hoover Dam initiated in early 1920s by Secretary of Commerce Herbert Hoover under President Calvin Coolidge. The project was finished the following decade under President Franklin D. Roosevelt. So although he is rarely associated with laissez-faire leadership, Roosevelt could not have completed the many infrastructure projects during his presidency as he not delegated authority to others. So that's why laissez-faire is important, and it is a good one because you are going to delegate the authority and you are going to share the responsibility with others. Okay, so next is some characteristic according to Goldblatt. So there are 6 qualities of top event management leaders. So these are the qualities that we are going to check. We are going to have, we need to have in our leader. Okay, so the first one, we have integrity. Number 2, we have confidence and persistence. Number 3, we have collaborative decision making. Number 4, problem solving. Number 5, communication skills. And the last one, we have vision. Okay, so let's take a look on the first one. We have integrity. So what is integrity? So integrity, basically, it is the value that determines the external perception by others. It's to obtain faith and trust from even stakeholders to ensure credibility. Okay, so for example here, okay, the example of high integrity, meaning you have a consistency in your work, meaning you are doing that work for so many times and you are consistent achieving your target. Okay, so that is when consistency. And then inclusiveness, participation, you participate in every program that has been held in your event or in your organization. And then tolerance and punctuality. So tolerance here meaning you are getting a high tolerance with your event members. For example, there are some mistakes and you are giving some space and some tolerance with your event members. Okay, so you are not too strict and you are not too stern. And then last one, punctuality. So punctuality is very important, especially when you are a good leader. Okay, if you want to be a good leader, you have to be punctual, especially when conducting or organizing an event. So when it comes to timing and punctuality, if you are about to go to any event and be at least be punctual, you have to arrive on time. You have to be at least 15 minutes or 10 minutes earlier to arrive at the destination or at the event site. Okay, so as for low integrity, meaning tardiness, absenteeism, inconsistency, favoritism, and intolerance. So means here absenteeism, you are not always there when your group member needs you. Okay, for example, there is some problem. There are some problems during your event, so you are not there. You are always absent. You are not at the event site. So if there is any problem, you cannot solve that problem in time. Okay, so and then inconsistency, meaning you are doing your job by using this particular method, and then you said I cannot complete it, and then you are trying for another method but it is not as what you want. Okay, so it means it is inconsistent in terms of doing your job. Okay, and then favoritism, you have a favorite staff, so it is not good. So you have to treat everyone equally. Okay, so basically you have to treat everyone by not having any favorite staff. Okay, so next, number 2. So number 2, confidence and persistence. So as a leader, you need to have confidence so that your group member will always have confidence on you. They are having, or they are putting the stress on you. Okay, so confidence means ability to stay the course, maintain the original vision, and triumph is what is expected by stakeholders. So as an event leader, so of course you need to have the confidence, you need to have the persistence in order for you to convey and make your group member confidence on you, and the stakeholders will have their confidence on you to conduct that particular event. Okay, so challenges as opportunities for event organization to learn and grow. So as an event leader, you need to take up to any challenge, and you need to turn out all the challenges into opportunities as for your event. Okay, so teaching tools to influence other event stakeholders, and confidence and persistence and all the challenges, it can be the teaching tools to influence, and in order um what we call that, we are going to make sure that the event stakeholders or any stakeholders are interested to invest into our event. Okay, so number three, we are going to have collaborative decision making. So as an event leader, you are not doing all the decision by yourself. So you need to have basically have a decision making, or you need to have, or you need to make the decision with your event team. Okay, so collaboration between event leaders and those who will eventually deliver the services. So you need to discuss with your team member, you need to discuss with all the stakeholders, we need to, you need to do, and you need to take all the opinions from the spectators, from the medias, from the sponsors, and so on. Okay, so as an event leader, you need to always perceive your associate, for example, permanent and part-time staff, so volunteers and other collaborators who share a mutual goal of producing a successful event. So as an event leader or as any leader, you need to always discuss with your team members. Sometimes they are afraid to throw any idea. So that's why you need to make your event member comfortable with you, so that they will throw their idea, and they will join the discussion in order for you to get a very solid and a very good result and decision. Okay, so all decisions should be preceded by close collaboration among stakeholders. So if you have a meeting with a stakeholder, you need to make a very solid decision, and you need to make a good decision to avoid any unavoidable circumstances or any problem. Right, so next we are going to check on problem solving. So as an event leader, sorry, as a leader, basically you need to solve the problem. You need to solve all major problem or all small problem, because the skill of problem solving you cannot obtain in only a day. Okay, so you need to learn, you need to always look into the case study and possess the skill not only to analyze problem, but to provide solution that will improve the outcome of the event. So when you are having, or when you are at the problem itself, you need to check, okay, what kind of solution that I can offer for that particular problem. Okay, so it's not only analyzing, but but you also need to provide solutions in order for you to improve the outcome, and also you need to make the case study as a reference in future. Okay, so a framework for understanding, analyzing, and solve event problem. First one, you must understand the size, scope, and time sensitivity of the problem. So if you have a problem, for example, like venue, okay? So if you have a problem of venue, so you need to check the size of the problem is big or small. Basically, when it comes to venue, the size of the problem is big, okay? So venue is one of the major problem for your event, and then you need to check time sensitivity. Okay, for example, here the problem is last minute cancellation from the vendor and from the venue owner. So that's why you need to check for another venue. Okay, so for the time sensitivity, meaning here, since it is last minute and you are unable to find a decent and a good venue, so that's why you need to only, what we call that, you need to grab any venue that is available during that time. So that's why time sensitivity is very important. And then number two, identify the key informants and stakeholders affected by the problem. So when the problem occurred, you need to check, okay, so who are the stakeholders that is affected during that particular problem? For example, media. Okay, so you said here, okay, I have run out of the pass. I don't have any more media pass. So what I need to do is I need to check for another pass, and I need to check for another space and seating for media. Okay, so you need to give and you need to offer solution. It is not necessary to give an immediate solution, but that solution must be something that will solve the problem. Okay, and then number 4, test the potential solution by seeking the collaborative input of those affected by the problem. So when you have or you have gained the solution, and then you check, okay, whether that problem will that solution will solve the problem or not. And then once a decision has been made, monitor the impact to determine if anything further must be done. Okay, once you have confirmed, for example, the problem at the venue earlier on. So once you have confirmed, you have taken a quite far venue and confirmed, and you need to monitor. Okay, so what are the changes that you need to do? Um, uh, Maybe it involves the operation, maybe it involves the logistic, so maybe it involves of um, marketing and so on. Okay, so you need to check after you have made the decision. After you discuss everything, you need to check, okay, is there any loss? Is there any increment of the cost for our event, for our budgeting? Okay, so you need to check. So that is how you need to do the problem solving for your event. Okay, next one, communication skill. Um, Communication skill is very important. So whether it is before the event, during the event, and after the event. So before the event, you need to have a very good and effective communication skill in order to avoid miscommunication and some loophole or problem during your event. And during the event, it is a very crucial to have a good communication system with your event team in order to make the event flow smoothly. And the last one, after the event, what you need to do and what you communicate is you need to have at least the evaluation for all the group member, especially because you need to check whether the event is successful or not. Okay, as for communication skill, it is the continuous process that involves both sending and receiving information, meaning if I am the leader, I need to transmit, I need to send, and I need to give some information to you guys as the team member. Either it is verbal by word, or either it is written by WhatsApp or by email, or abstract symbol by using my body language, and also electronics. Okay, so and then you must be able to receive and transmit complex information to multiple stakeholders throughout the event process. So as a leader, you need to check and you need to convey the message to the stakeholder in a good manner. Okay, so the most common communication problem, the first one, communication is not received by the stakeholder. You fail to communicate effectively with your stakeholder. You don't have any communication, you don't communicate at all, so that is means the communication is not received. And then number 2, communication is misunderstood by stakeholder, meaning basically you are saying A, but the stakeholders understand B. Okay, so it is a misunderstanding or misunderstood among the stakeholders. And lastly, communication is blocked among stakeholders, meaning you communicate, but the communication is not delivered among the stakeholders and also the staff. Okay, so these are the common communication problems. Okay, so number 6 or last one, we have vision. So as a leader, you must have a vision. You must have something or some objectives that will understand, and you need to know the outcome of the event. Okay, so it must clearly demonstrate a vision or outcome of the event, and describe a visual manner to outcome that will result from the event. And as an event leader, you must lead the stakeholders towards the vision of the event. For example, here you said the vision of the event would be I want to reach to a successful event with 1 million profit for this event. So that is your vision. So you say what we are going to do, what are our activities in order for us to reach that vision. Okay, so you must know and you must clearly brief all the stakeholders in order all the stakeholders will work towards that vision. Okay, is that understand? Okay. So is that understand? No, are you understand? Do you understand? Okay. So now we are going to check on human resource and volunteer management. So planned event dependent on staff and volunteers for providing service quality as well as being part of the performance. Lack of professionalism will deteriorate the organization of the event. Okay, so if you have a big event or mega event, do you need volunteer? Yes, basically, if you conduct any mega event, you need volunteer. You need additional and you need outsource people in order for you or in order for them to help your event. Okay, so you need to have a professionalism that will always help you make the event smoothly. Okay, so let us take a look human resources planning process. So basically, the human resource planning event, it is a series of sequential interrelated process and practices. So as for this planning, it is a process that is interrelated and connected to each other. So according to Getz, the planning process model and the key steps include human resource strategy and objective, policies and procedures, recruitment, professional selection and induction, training and development, supervision and evaluation, termination, outplacement and re-enlistment, and the last one, evaluation of process and outcomes. So let us take a look. So this is basically the process, okay? So we have altogether 8 steps. So the first one, we need to understand the human resource planning context. We need to know on the strategy and objective and so on. Okay, so let's take a look on the first one. So recruitment. Who are we going to recruit for our team? Okay, are we going to have a permanent team? So are we going to have a volunteer or part-time team? Okay, so the corporation serve an event sponsor and the corporation or the event organizer will advise or counsel a team of volunteers. So a good source of volunteer leadership through corporation is the Office of Public Affairs, Public Relations of Human Resources. As for civic and fraternal organization, you will get your volunteers in community service, schools, public or private, universities, and also colleges. Okay, so what are the criteria that we are going to have in our volunteer? So do we need people with experience? Or maybe you said, okay, I don't need people with experience, but I only need people with passion. Okay, so you have passion in doing the event. So that's why I need you as part of my team member. So that's why you need to always determine who you are going to recruit. Okay, so next, why people volunteer? Why people volunteer and why people want to join the event? So the first one, to serve the society. So people volunteer because they said it's okay. I want to meet the society. I want to serve and I want to give my very best to the society. Okay, so number 2, people volunteer because the society need people. Okay, society need people like us, the volunteers. Okay, and then number 3, involvement of the family. Sometimes people volunteer because there is an involvement of the family inside that particular event or um, any event or anything, any organization. And then number 4, social needs. They need to mingle and they need to meet people. Okay, that means you have to socialize with other people. You need to meet new friends. You need to meet new customers and new face. Okay, and then material gains. People volunteer. Sometimes they need the merchandise. They said, okay, I want to volunteer because um, if you are joining this volunteer program, you will get some free materials, free merchandise, for example. Okay, and the last one, people volunteer because of recognition. So that particular event is a mega event. For example, you have volunteered for SEA Games. So SEA Game is a recognizable event. So that's why recognition is important. And you want to put your volunteer program or your participation into your resume. So that's why you need that kind of recognition. Okay, so Next, coordination. So what we are going to do for coordination? So coordinating their job performance. So as an event leader, or human resource, you need to check, are they perform or are they doing their job very well or not? Okay, so you need to assign team leaders or supervisors based on the skill level of the volunteers. So for each team, you need to have a supervisor, or maybe you need to have a program or team leader. So that's why they are going to monitor. You are unable to coordinate everyone, but you can catch or you can monitor this particular leader, and that leader will report it back to you. Okay, and then this coordination, of course, it will involve coaching and mentoring. So that's why we have putting the event leader or team leader for that particular group. So for example, you want to conduct a very big event. So that's why you need to coordinate and you need to check for this event leader A, team leader B, team leader C. So you will have a meeting with these three team leaders, and then you will coach them, you will mentor them, and at the same time you will have a separate program or additional program with all the volunteers. Okay, so your volunteers need to know you, and you need to know your volunteers as well. Okay, so next we want to check on rewarding. Okay, so when your volunteers are doing their job and they have performed their job, so what kind of reward that you are going to offer to them? Okay, the first one, it might be letter of appreciation in order to thank the volunteer for their help. Okay, so and then you want to give the volunteers early, frequent, and constant recognition. So like the recognition, you nominate them, and you give them some gift or some award, volunteer of the year, like that, for example. Okay, so the kind of rewarding will enhance and will make people enjoy, and they want to join your event in future. Okay, so do you understand so far? Okay, right. Okay, still okay. So now we want to take a look on the example of the organization chart. This is a simple and a common organization chart, which is you have an event manager, and after that you are going to have event assistant, event manager, and then you have 4 or 5 or any event coordinator under the event manager. Okay, so this is a common one, right? So as for volunteer management, what is the process that we are going to do for this volunteer? So first one, we need to have recruitment. We need to recruit, we need to search for people, for suitable people. Okay, do they meet our criteria or not? If they are meeting our criteria, what we are going to do? We are going to select and make registration. Okay, so um, maybe we open that particular position for 500 people. Okay, so 500 people registered during our volunteer management, and then we need to have some screening. Out of 500, maybe we only need 50 people, for example. Okay, and then after screening, after you have selected 50 people, you need to do orientation and training. Why you need to conduct orientation and training? Because orientation and training is very, very important, especially for new people, even though they have some experience in the past or maybe in previous events, but they don't know, maybe there are some changes or major changes in your current event. So that's why we need to conduct orientation and also training, and then you will give them assignment, and then after that you will have accreditation. Okay, so along the way, it is important to have a recognition of your volunteers. Right, so next, what we are going to do. So volunteer management involves several human resources. Like I mentioned earlier, this is according to Rod Schutte. So we have recruitment, orientation, assignment, recognition with regards, and the most critical aspect. So a volunteer life cycle model includes stages such as, like I mentioned also earlier, training, assignment, accreditation, and also recognition. Okay, so what are the factors that influencing the number and type of staff, especially the volunteers? So if we need lots of people, we need huge number of people to join our event, we need to determine the size of the event. So if we are conducting a mega event, so that's why we need to hire hundreds of people, thousands of people to involve in our event. But if you are conducting just a small event, okay, do you require lots of people? No, it's only a small number of people that is required for event. Okay, number attending, likely demand. Okay, so the size of the event, for example, if you are conducting a wedding event, so a wedding event, who are the people that is involved in your event? First, the event planner, and then catering, and then the server or the people that will serve the food, and then you have a technical team, which is MCs, and then you will have PA system and so on. Okay, so these are some of the types of people that is very important during the event. Okay, and then number two, the balance between type of staff, whether you need all or permanent people, you have all full-time people, or you only need half of full-time people and you only need half part-time people. Okay, so you need to determine and you need to have balance. You need to have balance of full-time and also part-time people. Okay, so next one, the layout and components of the event. So it is important to know what are the components of the event and layout. So you are going to have a crowded place, or you are going to have a simple place and a very straightforward place, so that all the members will know, okay, so what is our job responsibility. Okay, and then number four, the methods by which the services are provided. So what kind of communication that you are going to do, that you are going to conduct with your team member. And then number five, what functions are carried out in-house or contracted out. Okay, so number six, the demand patterns and scheduling of staff, number of staff per activity. For example, you are going to have a peak time, okay, peak hour. So how you are going to schedule your staff? So you schedule your staff will work non-stop, or they will have 3 hours, 3 hours, and 3 hours. Okay, so it's up to you. So you know the demand. So at one time, during my time, if when I conducted an event, we call the demand pattern as wave. Okay, so we are going to have the first wave. So first wave during the event, normally it is early in the morning. Okay, so early in the morning is basically the first wave. So we know, okay, so during this time we will need huge and lots of number of people to be present at our event. And then after quite few hours, 2 or 3 hours later, and then we said when there is no wave, and then you can have a rest, and you will need to recharge yourself, go to the toilet, you need to eat something. Okay, so when it comes to second wave, especially at the noon, okay, so after at the noon, and then you need to check again. So you need to schedule the stuff accordingly. Okay, and then last one, the expertise required for the event. So do you need someone with skill, or do you need volunteer with no skill or no experience at all? Okay, so especially people with skills, you need the kind of people with skills to be someone that will be the core of your event. For example, you are conducting an event that require a sales staff and a volunteer that can be the usherer, someone that will give the flyers to the customer. So that's why the expertise or people with skills are needed. Okay, so I hope you understand. Right. So now, communication, effective communication leads to a good coordination. So as I mentioned earlier on, you need to have a communication. So there are 3 types of communication: barrier or common problem in communication, which is the communication. As an event leader, you cannot have that 3 common problems in communication because uh, it will show that you will have no integrity and you are not being serious in your event. Okay, So internal and external communication are vital to successful event management. So according to what communication may be defined as the giving, receiving, or exchange of information, so that the material communicated is completely understood by everyone concerned and appropriate action follows. Okay, so the first one we want to see here. So if I give you some information, so that is considered as communication. If you are sharing something, and if you are, for example, if I am giving an instruction, so you are receiving my instruction and you said, okay, miss, I understand what you have said. So that is mean giving, receiving, and also exchange of information happen. Okay, so that is basically communication. Now we want to take a look. So what are the communication skills that are important for our career? So listening. So listening is important. Normally people will listen just to reply, just to give feedback. They are not listening as listening. Okay. So some people, especially people with problems, they don't want any solution. They only want people to listen to their problem, and that's it. Okay. So number two, friendliness. So if you are listen, but you are very stern, but you are very showing um not a very good and friendly face. So that's why people feel like, oh, you are not interested to listen to any of my communication. And then number three, the open-mindedness. So open mind is important, but don't be too open-minded. So that's why you need to always open your mind and receive any comments, any complaints, any criticism towards your event. And then feedback. Feedback is very important to have a positive feedback, a negative feedback, because this kind of feedback will lead to a very good outcome of your event. And then number five, you have confidence. So when you are communicating with your group member, or when you are communicating with your stakeholders, you will have a very good confidence. And last one, non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication meaning it can be your body language. So uh, how you want me to communicate with you? You want me to communicate with you like this? No, right? Okay. So of course, when I communicate, normally we will look straight into the eye of the people that we are going to receive the message. It's not like this. It's not like you are begging for communication, but you need to have a very effective communication. Okay. So all right. Next, objective of communication. Why we communicate? Why we need to communicate with other people? Why I need to communicate with my team member? So the first one, to send a message. So I need to convey, and I need to make sure the message has been received. Okay. Number two, the message to ensure the message has been received to the receiver. And then number three, to ensure understanding. I need to check, I need to communicate with you, I need to teach you in order for you to understand. Okay. And then number four, to achieve correct action. Meaning when I give you some orders, when I give you some instructions, you understand my instruction and you are going to do it correctly. Okay. So I need to check whether that action is correct or not. And the last one, to exchange information. When I instruct, you understand, and then you will do the same, and I want to check whether it is okay or not. Okay, so basically that are five objectives of communication. And last one, communication method, how we communicate. So the first one, by using verbal communication. Verbal communication, I communicate, and I communicate. So the essential to is interpersonal relationships and get things done correctly. um, if you know that normally old people, they love calling and talking instead of texting. Why? Because when we are texting, sometimes the intonation of our communication is wrong. The way we read the message is wrong. The way they send the message, maybe the interpretation is wrong. Maybe that people accidentally type using caps lock. So you think that people is mad or angry at you, but it is not like that. It is not like you think. So that's why when calling or when you are communicating, you're talking to your stakeholder is very important by using a good intonation. Okay, number two, nonverbal communication by using body gestures and orientation, your facial expression, eye contact, for example, and personal appearance. So you need to check and you need to portray a very good personal appearance when you are communicating with people. Number three, you are going to have a written communication. So you need to have a paperwork. Maybe you need to send or communicate by email. Okay, maybe you said, okay, we don't practice email, but we are going to have uh, communication by using Google Drive. Okay, anything for any documentation, you can always refer this link, for example. Okay, and then number four, visual communication, videos used for product promotion and staff training. So you are going to have some visual, you have some training by using Google Meet, for example. You are going to have some training using online platform during using Zoom, or maybe you are going to have a physical class, okay, a visual one, as long as people can see you. Okay, and the last one is electronic communication. You are using computers, email, internet, fax, mobile phones, radios, and also TV. Okay, so all these communication methods is the list is not exhausted here. Maybe you can find some other communication methods that is, I think that will be very easy for you to communicate as long as you will communicate. Okay, so that's all I think for this class, for this chapter. So if you have any questions regarding this chapter, do not hesitate to WhatsApp me personally. All right. So I think that's all for today's class. Uh, any questions so far? Okay. So if you have any questions, like I mentioned earlier, please WhatsApp me personally, or we can discuss in the class. Right. So till I see you again. So bye bye.